So I've played quite a lot of Assassin's Creed Mirage, and as good as the game was, I felt like a few features or quality of life improvements can definitely be added. That's why in this video, I want to go over 10 things that I would like to see get added into a future update for Assassin's Creed Mirage. Of course, I am most likely reaching with a lot of these, but hey, where's the harm in asking? Oh, and this video will not include any story spoilers, so you're safe here. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. Now I want to start off with something that I felt like should have been added when it was released, and that is an actual working transmog system. Now if you somehow do not know what a transmog system is, it's pretty much a feature that lets you change the design of your character's clothing without losing any stats or perks of the more powerful but uglier armor. And yes, I understand Mirage has somewhat a transmog system, and I'm also well aware of the costumes in this game, but that's not what I'm referring to. Take Milad's outfit for example. I'm somebody that does not really like the ezio outfits in previous Assassin's Creed games, but I really like Mirage's one. However, that mask is something that I wish we could take off. With how great the outfit is, I would like to see Basim's actual face when he's speaking. I also find the muzzled voice quite hard to listen to, and with a transmog system in place, you'd be able to toggle the hood or mask, making it visually more appealing.
Remarkable. My thanks, friend.
I'd love to also be able to wear the appearance of, let's say, the Hidden One's outfit, while having the perks and stats of the Abbasid Knight outfit. However, that's not possible. You're limited to this underwhelming costume part where there's really only two good costumes, and those are the Master Assassin costume and also the White Patient robe. So yeah, the first thing I like to see added into a future update is definitely a more fleshed out transmog system. I wouldn't really expect them to add this quite soon, because it did take Assassin's Creed Valhalla almost a full year for them to implement a transmog system, and I'm pretty sure it was something that we all wanted since launch. Okay, now for the second thing that I'd like to see added into a future update of Assassin's Creed Mirage is New Game Plus. I have no idea why it's not something that's already included at launch. Of course, we know that Assassin's Creed Valhalla did not have a New Game Plus, and Ubisoft's reasoning for this was because the depth of Valhalla gave limited options to make replayability unique and rewarding. Well, that may be considered somewhat true. However, Assassin's Creed Mirage is a game with not a lot of depth, so I feel like a New Game Plus would be ideal for this kind of game. It is pretty short, and you can finish the game in a fraction of how long it took for the RPG games, which makes it perfect for more than one playthrough. It also did take Ubisoft quite a while to implement New Game Plus into both Origins and Odyssey, so just like a transmog system, I doubt they're even thinking of New Game Plus at this moment. However, it's something I'd enjoy. I like to play a more increased difficulty from my previous first playthrough, because I felt like the hard difficulty wasn't as hard as it was. I'd also like to earn certain items or gear that could not be obtained from the initial run, and retain some, if not all, of my stats, gear and weapons from my first playthrough. Just being able to be a maxed out assassin, just take it on quests. Throughout my entire first playthrough, I just put the effort in upgrading all of my tools and gear, just to reach a stage where the game is pretty much over. I mean, what's the point of maxing out gear and skill trees if you can't use it on new missions? That's why I like a New Game Plus. Just reset all of the missions, the contracts, and map progress, while keeping the unlockable mounts, outfits, weapons and skills. Imagine replaying the game with all of your cool gear intact. It'd be great. It's kind of a letdown when Ubisoft skips on New Game Plus, because it might not be as rewarding or lucrative. So here's to hoping, I guess. Okay, so this one kind of ties in with the New Game Plus stuff, but it also doesn't at the same time, and that is simply just replayable missions. Now I know this could be kind of hard to pull off because the game is pretty much open world. You can say it's not open world, but let's be honest, it really is. So having replayable missions might be a bit difficult to implement, simply because of your progress with other activities around the world. However, I still think Ubisoft can find a way to implement replayable missions, especially those black box missions. There's a lot of variety and different approaches you can take to eliminate the intended target, so being able to replay them just to see how different it would be great to have. This also ties into contracts too, especially with the contractor requests, which are kind of similar to 100% synchronization from the older games. These contractor rewards will give you extra rewards, so if you fail one of them, the only way to replay the mission is to restart your save. Being able to replay missions is relatively common in other Assassin's Creed games, so it's kind of odd that Ubisoft have not even given any thought on replayable missions for this game. The fact that there is no New Game Plus or replayable missions makes it seem a bit strange. It's like they want you to play this game once, and once only. Another feature I like to see added into a future Assassin's Creed Mirage update is more gear. Now this is something I can see them adding in updates down the line, because currently there's only 9 outfits, and to me that's not a lot at all. This game definitely has opportunities to introduce new gear sets. This could be done through contracts or just more collectibles throughout Baghdad. I did explore the world to get those mysterious shards, which would then unlock the ezio armor, sword and dagger, but other than that there's not much gear to get that requires exploring. The rest you'd eventually get over time. I'd also like to see outfits from other Assassin's Creed games be implemented into Mirage through updates, but the outfits I'm talking about are not the usual Ezio or Connor stuff. I'm talking about those outfits like Shay's 11th century Templar outfit or any unique outfit like that. We never see those types of outfits under the spotlight in any Assassin's Creed game. I'd also like to see more variations of swords and daggers, because there's only 10 swords and 10 daggers. I mean, sure, for the length of Assassin's Creed Mirage, having 10 swords and 10 daggers may seem fairly reasonable, but I think this is a case of more equals better. A lot of the gear in this game does require you to find it yourself through gear chests, but it would be cool to see new gear be rewarded through forms of content, whether that be through contracts or Tales of Baghdad. Okay, now this is a feature that I feel like must be added into a future Mirage update, and that is simply just a variety of contracts. I'm somebody that every time I visit the Assassin Bureau, I have to collect every contract and complete it, and what I've noticed from the many contracts that I've completed is the fact that they are very similar to each other and use the same locations. For example, let's say you're exploring Baghdad and you stumble into a nice building to loot. If you then accept a contract, there's a good chance that that contract's location is based on where you just were. And it's not just once, it could be twice. I'd love for Ubisoft to implement new locations where contracts can take place. Perhaps more in the wilderness because of how large and empty it is. There's definitely a lot of endless possibilities out there, and also the types of contracts needs more variety. For example, it's a lot of kill this person, liberate this person, escort this person, or simply steal an item. Yeah, those are all cool, but let's spice it up just a little bit. Perhaps they can implement a contract that requires Basim to chase a person through the street. Or like in Unity where you solve a murder mystery. That one is definitely a reach, but these are just my thoughts speaking. And in terms of reward, it's just the same stuff. Just materials, tokens and the occasional skill points. But the skill points are useless considering how small the skill tree is. That's where my earlier point comes in. More gear, which would then be used as contract rewards. It does appear that the contracts in Assassin's Creed Mirage are not generated or unlimited, and are purely handcrafted by the developers. So once again, that's where another earlier point comes in, which is replayable missions. Let us replay contracts, but once you replay them, the rewards aren't the same, because if they were, that would just be considered a farming method. Now this next feature is not considered one single feature, but rather a lot of them, and that's just overall quality of life improvements. These types of improvements would consist of things that make the game feel a lot more enjoyable to play, either from a returning player's perspective or for somebody that wants to buy the game. Some of these quality of life features could consist of small details, like just being able to buy the max amount of materials from a vendor, adding more variation for the merchants, because let's be honest, they're all pretty much the same. There's also barred doors. Now this could just be my opinion and you guys may have a different say on this, but somehow, some way just reduce the amount of barred doors there are. It felt like every single time I saw a door, I already knew that it would either 80% be barred or 20% just be locked. It was pretty fun at first, dashing throwing knives into small cracks in windows to break the lock of the door, but it got very repetitive. It did not help that you'd spend a long amount of time circling a building just to find where the opening of a window is. Another quality of life feature would be smoke bombs. I for one personally found smoke bombs to be very broken. You just toss one onto the floor and you're able to assassinate everybody in the smoke. Surely there could be a limit on how many guys you could assassinate. If you were fighting those big guys that can only be attacked from behind and you got bored, just drop a smoke bomb and the fight's pretty much over. And the last quality of life feature is the detection. It's just way too incredibly easy to escape combat. You could simply run for about 10 seconds and the guards that were chasing you would already have lost track of you. I feel like the AI in enemies needs to be increased a bit more. That could just be me though, like I said. Another feature I like to see get implemented is loadouts. Now sure, there might not be a lot of gear in the game to even think about loadouts, but I still believe loadouts should be a thing. I believe they were first introduced in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and how they work is you can pretty much have a loadout for different styles of play. For example, let's say you have an outfit equipped that's focused on health, and you also have a sword and dagger that's also focused on health. That could be your first loadout. And then if you want to change your style of play to a more stealthy approach, you could just choose a second loadout which would focus on an outfit, sword and dagger that has stealth perks. It just saves a lot of time from constantly opening your inventory, changing your outfit, sword and dagger. Just a simple loadout button would be so helpful, and I know it's very easy for Ubisoft to implement this if they wanted to. But this feature is not as important as the ones I mentioned earlier in the video, so I would not be disappointed if I never saw this feature ever in Assassin's Creed Mirage. Okay, now this next thing might be a bit of a reach, just like a lot of the stuff I already talked about in this video, and that is mounted combat. This is a feature that I once again wouldn't be surprised if this isn't even thought about by Ubisoft. Mounted combat was not a thing in Assassin's Creed Valhalla for whatever reason. It may be because Vikings did not fight on horseback, but who knows. However, in Assassin's Creed Mirage, I feel like mounted combat could be implemented quite well. The very dense and packed city of Baghdad has a lot of enemies, and riding around fighting them on your horse seems pretty fun. However, for this to be a feature in the game, Ubisoft would need to also allow enemies to do the same thing and fight on horseback, which is a whole new mechanic in itself. So I doubt they'd add this. But hey, look at Cyberpunk. It took them over 2 years to finally let you use your weapon whilst you're driving. So here's to hoping, I guess. This particular feature kind of ties into New Game Plus, which I mentioned earlier, and that is a nightmare difficulty, or just a difficulty that's harder than hard. To me, Assassin's Creed Mirage feels very dumbed down and beginner friendly. I mean, after all, it is a single player game, and single player games are not really known for being hard, well, except for the Souls games. To me, Assassin's Creed Mirage feels very dumbed down and beginner friendly, so even the hard difficulty is not as hard as I wished it was. The fact that we only have a sword and a dagger shows you the combat in this game is not the main focus, and it was so incredibly easy to parry and one-shot kill an enemy. With the harder difficulty, it would increase enemy health, give you less time to dodge and parry, and also, this one might be a bit of a stretch by the way, but enemies could perhaps implement combos into their movesets. So for example, their attack patterns are more random and not predictable like it is currently. Anyway, I guess the Assassin's Creed franchise is one of the easiest single player games out there, so it's no surprise that the hard difficulty is not hard. I just hope in a New Game Plus game mode, if they ever do add it, they'd also implement a new difficulty. It doesn't even need to be called Nightmare, it can be called pretty much anything. Okay, before you comment saying Ubisoft already confirmed that there's no DLC for Assassin's Creed Mirage, I already know that. But hear me out, this feature is more of a request, and it's one that I feel like needs to be in a future update. The fact that Ubisoft are not even adding DLC to Assassin's Creed Mirage is so baffling to me. I mean, just look at the world, it's way too stunning to not have a DLC. The amount of stories that can be told and areas of the map that can be included into a DLC is crazy. For example, there was a long period of time between seeing Nihal as a street thief with Basim, and then Basim as a fully grown adult. Surely there's some room in between there to tell a very engaging story that would relate to Nihal, or just something that occurred in Anbar, or maybe a DLC that dives into parts of the map that is barely used throughout the base game, because there is a lot. All of these historical landmarks such as Alamut Castle, the Great Mosque and many more can be utilised for DLC, especially Alamut. I don't like the fact that they created such an iconic place that we can't even explore throughout the game. If you don't know, Alamut Castle is where the original real-life assassins resided, and the story behind them is very interesting. A historical place like this in Assassin's Creed Mirage needs to be fleshed out more, and not just for visuals. Oh, and if you want to know more about Alamut Castle, check out this video I made a few months ago, it's quite insightful. So there you have it, those are 10 features I would like to see get added into a future update for Assassin's Creed Mirage. I already know a lot of these are not even going to be thought about, but I do hope the features like a Transmog System, New Game Plus and more gear get added. It would definitely increase how replayable the game can truly be. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.